Hi, so today we are going to look at using type within Adobe Illustrator. So in order to use type, you will need to click on the T icon on the left hand side panel here. Once you select the T icon and type, okay, you should get a series of options on the top of your screen. So you'll see, your character, the name of the font here, the style and the size. So for example, if I make a text box here, I'm going to click and drag, and you can see by default the lorem ipsum kind of dummy text has been inserted and it's highlighted. So if I want to change the font, I click on the little arrow here, and you can see that there's a kind of a preview here. So, I mean, if I know I want, we'll say Arial, I can type in Arial here and it will start to appear, and then my font changes to Arial, and I can increase the size and change it maybe from regular to italic. Okay, now you'll notice with that then I've lost some of my text. So if I get my black arrow, I can increase the size of the text box, and that will bring back in the text that I lost originally. So another way that you can create text is by choosing the T for the text and just clicking once on the screen. So rather than have a text box, when you start to text, you'll just get this kind of an infinite text box. I don't like this, the reason being that when you get your black arrow and you resize, this is what you might end up with. So rather than what you have up here, where you have something like this, where your text moves around inside your text box, by doing the click, this is what you might end up with. So just to recap, the difference between the one on top was that I clicked and dragged and I had a text box. The second option was I just clicked once on my screen and typed. And in order to come on to a next line, I need to hit return. But if I want to change the size of my text box, this is what I'm dealing with. So that's why I feel like you've more control if you click and drag and do that from there, okay? So as I said, you can change the font. So let's just say I want to go for a serif style font, Times Roman. Okay, my text box will stay the same, but let's just say I increase it to size 18. I'm losing some of my text, so I know that because I can see this little small red box on the right hand side. So I get my black arrow and I increase the size of the text box, and that'll bring in. So once that little red box at the bottom disappears, all my text is there. So as I said, once your text box is selected, these options will pop back up. If it's not selected, these options will disappear. Okay. You'll get an extra series of options as well if you click on the character panel, or if you go to window on the top of your screen and then window, type and character. Okay, and that will bring up a number of options on your to your disposal. Okay, so these are the ones that we've used. The size, okay, and the next option here is the leading. So the leading is the space between the bottom of this line and the bottom of this line. Okay, so if I increase the leading, I end up with a much more spaced out piece of text. Again, I have to increase the size of the text box for that to work. Or I can change the leading to decrease. Now, if you click in this drop down menu, it'll give you an auto, but sometimes we're not that content with the auto. We prefer to have it bigger or smaller, or whatever the case may be. So that's your leading. The next option is your kerning. Okay, so let's just say I have the word fight here, F-I-G-H-T. Maybe it'll work better if I use a small letter. Yes. I'm going to zoom right in here. okay? And let's just say I'm finding the F and the I a little bit too close together, because when I view it from a distance, it's like this sit almost on top of each other. There's not enough of a gap between these. So if this was a heading, we'll say on a poster or something, it might be difficult on the eye. So I double click in between the two letters. So I should get this flashing cursor in between my two letters. And then I go to the kerning and I go to my drop down menu and I can choose to maybe increase the amount of space. I'm just going to get my black arrow and move this out of the way so you can see what's happening here. So it's on 25, but let's just say I go to 100. Okay, so you can see, or I can decrease the amount of space. So that will increase or decrease the amount of space between two letters. Okay, so that's your kerning. And then your tracking is increasing or decreasing the amount of space between a series of letters. So let's just say if I pick this whole first paragraph and I adjust my tracking, which is the last option here, it's at 0 at the moment, but if I went to, we'll say 75, you can see that there's a very apparent gap between each letter. Or I could go back to -75 and now the letters are almost sitting on top of each other. You also have some more options on the character panel. They may be visible to you, but at the moment I need to go to show options just on the top right hand corner of my character panel. And I'll get some more options available to me here. And you can play around with those in your own time. I suppose an apparent one is underline, something that you might use. Thank you for your attention.